Listen and subscribe to The Table of Truth on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. Welcome, everybody, to The Table of Truth. This is your man, Cam. With me, as always, is...
It's Josh, the Quizats Haderach.
As well as...
It's the Professor, D.
And bringing up the rear, actually, hold on, slow up. New challenger has arrived. So, but before I say that, also as...
You talking to me?
Oh, there we go. He was about to crash.
Nah. I was like, who's next? Yeah, I'm coming in via satellite from the car, just picking up my daughter. So I'm gonna cut in and out real quick. But this is the other Cam, darkest member of the crew. Just checking in, tapping in. What's up, y'all?
What up, brother?
And also special guest coming in all the way from Long Beach, California.
What up, Duane? Oldie but goodie. What up, y'all?
And we're here. We're gonna give we've all seen Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Multitude of Madness,
The Multitude of Madness,
Multitude of the Multiverse of the Madness, the M's, the M's, the M's.
MOM, mom.
So we all wanted to drop in and chime in on it. And is that Sage in the background?
That is Sage in the background.
He's like, I watched it.
Exactly.
He's like, she snuck me in. It was PG-13, so I could watch it.
Yeah, my bad. I'll get the mic on mute for a couple seconds.
So yeah. So we all watched Doctor Strange 2. Just off the bat, basically, this is going to be a spoiler pod. So if you haven't watched it, turn it off and go watch it. Come back. 2, if you watch Doctor Strange 1 and then you're now watching Doctor Strange 2, they don't really connect. So good luck.
But if you didn't watch WandaVision, if you didn't watch Loki, if you didn't watch pretty much everything else,
basically,
you're kind of screwed.
And I think I would say for this one, I laughed because this was one of those swings where Marvel was like, "Look, this is specifically for people that watch our shit. If you do not watch our shit, then A." It's like, yeah.
Wait, is that a good or bad thing, though?
Well, we didn't talk about that.
And that's the question. And that's the question I was going to pose to all of you: is this movie is clearly for people that have watched everything, and so if this. Knowing that, and you guys have watched most of everything or all of it, I've watched all of it. Most of you guys have. But do you guys think that was a good thing or a bad thing? We'll start with Duane and kind of go around.
It depends. Like that movie made $200 million, so I'm assuming it is a good thing. I had to like give my girl a rundown on it because she didn't watch the shows. So I'm like, here, there's a YouTube video. Catch up, watch this. So I feel if you're gonna go see those comic book movies, you're already invested. It's not something where you're coming in brand new, not knowing what you're stepping into. So Doctor Strange is a character from other films, Wanda, Scarlet Witches. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. You should do your homework before you walk into the theater.
Yeah, definitely. Josh?
I would say little column A, little column B. But I mean, at the end of the day, I agree with Duane. It at this point, it's the universe is designed to be connected. If you've watched a couple Marvel movies, you figure that out. This most likely isn't anybody's first foray into watching a Marvel movie. The likelihood that this movie has brought in brand spanking new fans is pretty slim. I mean, it's possible, but it probably is pretty slim. So if you're in, you're in. And if you're doing it piecemeal, that's your own fault.
let me chime in real quick before Sage interrupt. If Doctor Strange is your first Marvel movie, you're doing it wrong.
100%.
Yeah, because that's a lot to take in. There's a lot of nuance, and like you guys mentioned earlier, there is a lot of little nuggets that if you weren't invested in the other shows, you would completely miss, which enhances the movie going experience for this particular film. So, like, I think you have to be invested. Like you guys said, if you're not invested by now, like, you're going to be missing out on so much. But for this particular movie, I think you have to be invested in the earlier work and the little nods to the other earlier shows and little TV series on Disney Plus to actually get what's going on for the next buildup of whatever they're doing in the future.
Yeah, definitely. And D, what are you saying?
It's hard for me to say that it's a good thing. I don't know if being from a purely cinematic perspective and from the business of cinema, from business of cinema, it didn't matter because as Duane pointed out, it made $200 million. So from a business perspective, there's nothing wrong with it. I think from staying with the Marvel franchise, I'm of two minds. I think that, like you guys said, you don't want to just come in the middle as a casual viewer and watch that, because that's not the agreement that I think this audience has made with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The understanding is that you're along the way for the whole total journey ride. So you follow all these characters from one movie, TV show to the next offering. But I think one of the things that is not taken into consideration is that that's a lot of expectation on any audience. So I'll give you an example. Took my nephew to see that, and he's 13 years old. He's watched a fair share of the Marvel movies and TV series, but at the same time, he was still totally just not into Doctor Strange because of how much of everything else was put into it and things that, his teenage mind are not going to put together in that way. So, and that becomes a contradiction because those movies are marketed and made for his age group. So that's why I say I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm of two minds, but I think if you made that investment, I didn't
like Doctor Strange. Sorry, Dan, I'm gonna cut you off, but maybe the character didn't resonate with him. You know what I mean?
It could
like say the characters more. That could be it too.
It could be that. I didn't really get too further into why he didn't get into the movie, but it could be that Doctor Strange, and I think that's the case, that the Doctor Strange is his least favorite character. So I don't know. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's good. I think it's working.
To be fair, when I was 13, I definitely wasn't into Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. It was kind of I don't want to say throwaway character, but not one that I would actually seek out. Like, I'm like, oh, he's around. Yeah.
And
like,
he's around. He had a book when I was 13, but I just wasn't.
He probably did. He's pretty much consistent. Yeah. He's not a consistent book. And I would say the other aspect of it too was this was Marvel's first foray into horror, air quotes, as I am not a fan of horror films. D is a great fan of horror films. And I was kind of like, oh, so this is Disney horror? All right. Like, that's cool, man. It's kind of underwhelming. I mean, I take it back. I didn't realize. So one thing was I forgot that Sam Raimi was directing it.
I did.
And so when I watched it, so then when Bruce Campbell popped up, then I was like, oh, that's right. And then once that hit, then I started to see the Evil Doe references, the through the floor, the limping,
the camera view.
The camera view,
the possession,
punching himself in the face,
that. So that part. So on that respect, I think I enjoyed the Sam Raimi-ness of it more than the actual horror aspect of it.
Yo, Cam, not to cut you off real quick, but you said this was Marvel's first foray into it. Didn't they have like a scary movie about the mutant kids or something that Fox had put out?
Oh yeah, they did New Mutants and that bombed horrible.
I think he meant MCU Disney because that was before the transition over to that was Fox.
Yeah, so there's been Marvel horror, quote unquote, but yeah, you're right. The New Mutants one was supposed to be kind of like a more, which I still haven't seen. I don't know if I ever will, but I tried the first 5 minutes and I was like, Lord Jesus!
Oh, I thought you said you saw everything.
It's the one thing I haven't seen. It's the one thing.
I would say about speaking to the horror aspect is that Sam Raimi is more known for in horror what's called phantasmagoria, not trans, but phantasmagoria, and that's more about the sort of physical metamorphosis, transformation, combined with the supernatural, which I think you saw a lot of that in Doctor Strange. And that story opened itself up for a lot of that, even though a lot of those sort of the supernatural in the MCU is super undefined. It still visually looked good.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing. I think like it was Doctor Strange kind of succeeded at least in expanding the world a little bit in terms of Marvel. So like now you understand that okay, there is more of a multiverse. We got some magic going on and over here, and then also you have like you said a little bit of the gore and that kind of stuff. I think the parts that I thought were kind of silly, whereas we were talking about this before, but it was like the Darkhold and the Book of Ashanti were just these MacGuffins that were just kind of like there. Like the Book of Ashanti is in the comics is a big deal. Like this is a thing. As a Darkhold. But then the way this was it was just kind of like some book, rip out the page, stab it with the knife, and then that was about it. And it made it so underwhelming and so like very just like whatever that it didn't really do anything that like to have the prominence of what it actually was. Because I think for me, Doctor Strange, the book recently, I think it was maybe 2010, 2011, Jason Aaron did a run on Doctor Strange, and he basically kind of made you care about the character. And Jason Aaron is really good. He's also the one that did a lot of the Thor stories that's gonna be referencing in the next Thor, Love and Thunder. Lord. And Jason Aaron is really good at taking characters that you're kind of like whatever about and then giving you a story that says, yo, this character actually is worth paying attention to. And I thought they started to bring a little bit of that into Doctor Strange too, but then it was not enough to really get you in there. Like kind of like what your nephew was saying, where, you know, if you didn't really care about Doctor Strange, you'd watch this and be like, oh, that's cool. But you didn't really like, oh man, Doctor Strange is a lot better than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I walked away with a little bit of a different experience. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed it a ton. I had a lot of fun. I thought it was funny. I thought, you know, the Sam Raimi elements that make Sam Raimi movies were sprinkled in there. It wasn't poured on heavy. It was sprinkled. It was as I refer to it, light beer, Sam Raimi light beer. But it was good. It was. I thought it was a well done movie. I like the deep Marvel cuts. Wundagore Mountain, for crying out loud.
That was like cool.
That's really cool. Deep Marvel cut.
Yeah.
And I feel like stuff like that sort of made the movie for me.
Yeah, and I think it was funny because I was thinking about the cameos and stuff, because I was like, okay, it's gonna be multiverse. Who are they gonna bring in to do that? And it was funny because when Professor X rolled in, I was kind of like, oh, cool. And then, but when Krasinski was freaking Reed Richards, I was like, yo, okay. I was more hype about that than I was Professor X, honestly.
Yeah, not often does self-casting. We've seen it. We've seen it happening a lot recently. Starting with Ryan Reynolds.
Yep. Shang-Chi.
Witcher. Shang-Chi. Now with John Krasinski as Reed Richards. The Witcher.
Yep, the Witcher as well.
Henry Cavill. Like, I'm not mad at that trend, because at least the individuals who are in the role of the characters want to be there, and they're willing to put themselves out there for it. And Krasinski's a really capable actor. I hope they keep him in that role.
I watched this. What was it? What's on Amazon?
Yeah,
Jack Ryan.
Yeah, Jack Ryan. Yo, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I was really like, in 2 seasons, I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, yo, man, he could do action. Like, he was solid. Like, I did not expect it to be even close to what it was, and I was like, oh, because Jim's doing action. I was like, oh,
he is really surprisingly talented. His 2 films, A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place 2, are pretty remarkably directed and made horror.
Absolutely.
Groundbreaking, like really out there and worked. Like, it's just one of the most talked about horror series in the last 10, 20 years. And I was surprised. I was like, from Jim from The Office.
Jim from The Office. I mean, I laugh at horror now because most of it is just jump scares and like
American horror.
But I gotta tell you, like you hit the nail right on the head. A Quiet Place is probably one of the best horror thriller movies of the last 10 years, maybe more, probably 20 for me.
And one of the most original, I think.
Absolutely.
As original Hollywood can get.
Yeah. Using the use of audio as an engineer, the use of audio in that film, or lack of audio, is just absolutely phenomenal. I'm so mad that I did not get to see the original, the first Quiet Place in a theater.
I was about to say that experience.
You should have saw it. You of all people,
I know.
in theaters. It was amazing.
Damn, yeah. And so now with that, talk about the horror aspect of it. There's a little bit of a hubbub where people were like, "Yo, this should have been a rated R film as opposed to PG-13." And like, I was like, I mean,
wait, why do we care?
So, and then that's the reason why I bring it up, because for a Disney type of film who doesn't do R and all that kind of stuff, and honestly, this actually goes back to Disney's acquisition of Fox. There was already talks. This is back when I was working at Marvel, that they were figuring out a way to make a separate section of their streaming service for their more adult content, because they have a ton of it because of the acquisition of Fox and all their old stuff. And then I was actually curious to see what this would get in terms of rating wise, because most of their stuff, like you said, are made for 13-year-old kids, and and this one, it looked like it was exactly. But Raimi got to push up to the limit as far as they can, and that's him being late.
And I think, speaking on the rating situation, is that what it would take to have made that film rated R was more guts and gore in parts, like, for example, when she kills Black Bolt. If his head had completely exploded, then it would have been okay. Now we need to up the rating to little kids might find this disturbing.
Peggy Carter, when she got cut in half.
It was implied violence.
Yeah, exactly.
We know what happened, but we didn't see it.
So it's funny hearing Disney has this long stance on like being quote unquote for kids. And we know Disney's dark history of slipping stuff in cartoons and movies and whatnot.
Yes.
With that said, Wanda was running around like Pop doing the most, and it was kind of like,
got money for wars but can't feed the poor.
Yeah, so like it was they use a strategy in Greek theater where you don't see the thing happening in front of you; you see it in shadow form, and it's implied. You get the gist of what's going on. It's a similar technique when we watch fighting movies. Born Identity, for example, right. They don't actually show you the punch being thrown and hit. It's just like camera tricks, right?
Yes, and editing.
Yeah, so and it's kind of like Disney has this slick technique, or Sam Raimi has a slick technique to push the envelope of showing you implicit violence, because this was kind of gory. Like out of all the Marvel movies,
it was the most gory.
It did push the envelope.
Push the envelope, because I mean, we saw Thanos literally break Loki's neck. We saw some things happen, but like it wasn't like, dang, this one I was like, yo, they really pushing the limits of like the violence.
Richards in front of us, like they hurt them into like Play-Doh when they came back when he left. Like this one is like, nah, no one's coming back to life.
Disintegrated version of Doctor Strange with his voice. So like, and they showed that full. But again, there's a difference between showing the viscera of a human body being broken down to its molecular stuff versus showing what looks like some ethereal wind and then they just disappear.
I think the argument for people is you've never seen that before in any other movies. So with this one, they push the envelope a little bit more. So that's why people are like, oh, like, all right, we've seen people die before, but not like this. So I think that's why people, even when I left, I was like, damn, that was PG-13?
Hey, like I know it was, but are we gonna have Disney After Dark type of like stuff now?
Basically,
I mean they have it now.
Yeah,
try to watch Punisher. Yeah,
because Punisher there is no.
It's on Disney.
Oh, yep, same.
Right, and that's clear cut explicit violence. Whereas with Doctor Strange, the technique and the amount of what we're seeing has changed, or it's up the ante, but it hasn't given us that one thing or those few things that we need to make it a rated R film. Other than that,
I'm sorry, hold on. I just saw Duane's last name.
I noticed that earlier.
I was like, Mordo.
Black is touche. Josh is Black. Was it Blackagar Boltagar?
Blackagar Boltagar, aka Captain Pike.
But so I think without the the gore and stuff. So now as the quote unquote twist of Wanda being the villain, I actually enjoyed that aspect of it because like Wanda is way too OP in the MCU. Like it's just stupid. Like her powers are just off the charts. And I was like, so what are you going to do with them? So it was interesting to see that thing. I already saw a bunch of the think pieces about why about it and blah, blah, blah. But
why what?
About why, because like they're basically saying like, oh, the way they wrote her was like this tortured woman that is like would do anything to save her children and blah 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 blah. And that's like it's a trope. This all these things.
The point though, that misses the point though.
Exactly.
I joked about that, but it's more about the amount of things that she's lost, and there was something that spoke to that, which is the fact that she got blamed even before that. Going back to Civil War, she would get blamed for a lot of things. Doctor Strange has done a lot of shit, and he turned it as a hero. So I thought that was a really good mythology point that she made. Is like, how's it fair that I do these things and I'm looked at as a villain, but you do this stuff, these type things, you just broke the multiverse, like, and you're a hero.
He's like, yeah, but I'm a cis white man. That's what we do.
so let me figure something out. This is something that I couldn't figure out. So she lost vision. How come she didn't snap in? Did she get snapped in the Thanos snap, or was she around?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like,
she wasn't there.
Vision should have been the catalyst for her going OP.
Yeah,
outside of the kids.
But it was but it was the kids, and so and so that's the interesting part where like in comic book lore. That's one thing where I thought that was an interesting thing. That was the one thing about WandaVision. Like I wasn't a fan of the whole series, just for whatever. But the one thing I thought that was dope was they did bring that aspect of it, where she literally creates her kids and then she loses them, and that's what kind of drives her crazy in the comics. And then, but
she can't sustain the illusion of having had children because she can't have children.
Yeah, and so I thought that was bringing that into the actual MCU was actually a pretty smart thing to do because the loss of children is a heavy thing, which makes sense for you to fucking go batshit crazy and try to kill mad people to do what you want. So at least it gives you that motivation. Where we've talked about villains in MCU before about one, they always kill them, which is always true, unfortunately. And then two, their motivations are always kind of like, sort of,
And I think you lost an opportunity with, assuming she stays dead.
I don't think she's dead.
Wanda's not dead.
She's not dead.
I don't think right. The way she went down would be a good way to introduce Mephisto, but I didn't want to introduce him to.
So that was something I was going to work my way to. But also, I feel like if you take her off the board, you lose an opportunity. So in the books, once she snaps and tries to, she loses her nut over not being able to sustain having children, keeping the children alive, because what feeds her psychosis in the books is the kids keep dying, like the illusion keeps falling away, and she keeps recreating them and losing them and recreating them and losing them, and that's what makes her snap. And so eventually everybody, so once she rehabilitates herself, like, her and Xavier work together. He does a little mental projection thing and helps her right her mind. But now she's lost trust. Nobody on the Avengers trusts her.
Right.
And I think that would be a great thing to have, like a great plot point to sort of explore later on down the line. Nobody trusts her because she's done what she did in Westview. She's done what she did in Doctor Strange 2, nearly destroying all universes to just have a little snot-nosed kid.
I think we should
horizons there. She did a few things that were irredeemable in that movie, and I think that's going to have to be addressed if she does come back. She murdered.
That's what I'm saying. I think that would be a good thing to explore.
So we talk about people that's irredeemable. Like, first of, Hawkeye should be in jail.
It was different times.
No, but I'm just saying, like, she's not going to be brought to justice. But what I was trying to get at earlier was, I think they should have kept making her the villain, because we do need to flesh out that House of M thing to show how she thought and how she felt she was right. Because I don't think we missed an opportunity, but like it could have been fleshed out a little bit longer. She could have been a villain a little bit longer. It seems like now she's redeemed herself by saying, "I'm in
the middle." I feel like she's in the middle.
No one's going to trust her, obviously.
Yeah.
But like she's on this redeeming arc now. Like we don't look at her as a villain because she righted the wrong. She was like, okay, I'm gonna destroy myself. I'm gonna destroy this. I know what I did was wrong, and I don't want nobody else to touch it. Where I feel like in the House of M, she was just pure fuckery. You know what I'm saying? Like
really,
but that's just the comic book.
Said she's gonna come back to her, so you never know. Like
you never know.
I don't think she's.
Gotta also remember that Disney is gonna not let it go all the way to that version of Wanda. Like, I think we got the version they gonna offer.
So I was talking to Duane about this too. This is another small gripe that I have, and this is my make Hulk great again argument, is that when they mention the Baxter Building, and then they talked about the Illuminati.
Mm-hmm.
We all know what the Illuminati did to the Hulk. Reference in Thor Ragnarok. He got sent to the planet Sakaar. They had a bomb on the ship. Ship blew up his future wife. Hulk came back and wanted answers and was like...
Wife and unborn kid.
And unborn kid.
Yep.
So this is why I was a little peeved after Thor Ragnarok, because that's supposedly World Breaker Hulk here. And he's been nerfed.
And that definitely, I agree, that was definitely a lost opportunity.
Yep.
They overpowered Captain Marvel. They finally did Wanda right, making her what she really is. We need to bring back Hulk, man. Like this Amadeus Cho version of Hulk with the glasses and leisure suit.
Yeah.
I think She-Hulk, hopefully that's when they right the wrong. So we'll see.
Yeah. We gotta bring
when
it back.
That comes out.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Yeah, that might be, honestly, that might be a good idea. Like if they use She-Hulk to kind of bring that in as well.
Yeah,
but you're right. They definitely nerfed Hulk, especially when it comes because World Breaker Hulk was like a legit. We were supposed to get Gladiator with the Hulk.
He beat Sentry. He beat the snot out.
You know what's tough with Hulk though? Like you need those villains to go up against him. And Marvel didn't have him yet. So
married to Disney.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what he's gonna do. He's fighting dogs in part one.
Cam brings up a great point. That whole World Breaker Hulk, and the aftermath of that when he returns to Earth to confront Tony Stark and the heroes who sent him away.
Man,
oh my Lord, that's easily one of the best Hulk storylines in 20 years, maybe. Yeah, and it harkens back to an Avengers storyline where Bruce separates himself from the Hulk, and it's just Raging Hulk, like destroying all of Mexico. And it takes East Coast Avengers, Cam's favorite, the West Coast Avengers, it takes literally the entire roster to bring him down.
Yep.
Side note,
I would watch that movie.
I think I'm having good hopes that they do, if they do a Fantastic Four movie, that they do Dr. Doom justice. It sounds like Kang's going to be a problem. Thanos was a problem. Wanda was a problem. Dr. Doom is, if they do it right, major problem.
I actually think they will.
I think they will.
The one thing about Marvel is they like. One of the things when I was working there, that the two things I realized was, one, they really like Fantastic Four. And they really like Captain Marvel. Those are their two. Like Captain Marvel, I tried. Like I actually read.
Shout out to Monica Rambeau.
Yo, exactly. So I read all the stories. Danvers is a boring ass character. I have a whole rant about that. But for Marvel internally, they
never
really
mentioned that before. What are you talking about?
They really like Fantastic Four as like their flagship. Like even when X-Men was selling more, Avengers started selling more. Like Fantastic Four is their baby. So part of the Fox deal was like getting that. So I can see them really making sure that, and then also the way they got that shitty Doctor Doom from before. I think they're really going to try to like make sure that Doctor Doom gets to do justice, because I think the Krasinski nod was actually pretty smart, because that's kind of like, okay, hey, we're listening to you guys. We see what you're saying. So
what are the fans saying for Doctor Doom? Let me look that up while you.
I don't remember.
I don't think anybody's really. I don't think there's been much fan casting about that.
Okay, another thing too. I almost felt like they should have de-aged Professor X. He needs to retire from the part.
Lead him
don't talk about Sir Patrick Stewart that way.
Sir Patrick Stewart is finishing up the last of his acting gigs. Chilling in Brooklyn with his nice wifey and enjoying his life.
I like Fassbender Magneto. I think they should age him and let him play Magneto, the older version. I don't know who's gonna play.
They can't bring back. Not Ian.
They can't bring. They can't bring Gandalf back to play Magneto. Also, what would be super meta since we're in the multiverse? This is my nerd coming out. Bring back alternate universe Chris Evans as the Human Torch.
That would actually be hilarious.
Just a meta.
That would be interesting.
That would be hilarious.
Just like they did Quicksilver.
Yeah. That would be really
funny. I would like that.
I would. Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Why not Michael B. Jordan?
Further jokes.
I mean, come on.
Why not Michael B. Jordan?
Whoa. Slow down there. Slow down, sir. Let's have
I know
right now.
Terrible.
Hey, Michael B. Jordan is Killmonger.
Blasphemer right now, Pete.
Chris Evans not Captain America?
He is. But we recognize the first Human Torch.
First of his name.
The only Chris we recognize is not Wallace.
Human Torch, the first of his name.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I don't know who else played Human Torch in the Fantastic Four movies.
The one from '94. Jesus Christ.
So now I would say this. Now with we had the spoilers and stuff. It was a nice nod with Captain Marvel being a Rambo. That shit was dope. I remember this. I was actually surprised because, you know, when we're talking about What If, we all enjoyed the parts of What Ifs that were really good and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that it was interesting. Like, I kind of wish they didn't bring in the What If type people into this movie because I kind of agree with D'Angelo where it's like, yo, let What If be What If. Like, it's an anthology. They can just have fun with it. It doesn't impact anything else. So by doing that, it felt almost a little cheap because like I wasn't really as excited about seeing Haley Atwell as like Captain Britain. I was kind of like, I guess.
I mean, she's like the souped up version of Black Widow. What is she going to do against a metahuman?
Pretty much. And it's kind of like, so I didn't really need to have any people from What If into this movie. Like we've already seen this parts of these multiverses. Give me some new little droplets. Like, you know,
I mean, they did the same thing with Spider-Man though. Yeah. Like we got the same, we had the animated film and they brought it to life. So maybe that's their new MO.
See, I will say seeing Black Bolt was actually pretty cool for a failed series he was a part of. I thought that was like, okay, at least they're giving him kept the same continuity. They're giving him that character some justice.
Yeah. And also by killing him, it's kind of like,
the way they killed him off was purely a middle finger to Jeff Loeb.
Yeah, 100%. And it was almost like, okay, we've now killed this character from this.
Killed off the.
This does not matter at all.
now we're going for the X-Men.
Yes, exactly.
So for the X-Men.
And so that's what I took from that. I took that was like a Zach because like Feige cannot stand Loeb with a passion.
Quick question: who's the extra seat on the Illuminati? Not that they matter as much.
I think it was Strange.
Strange or Iron Man or Black Panther.
The rumor was they wanted Tom Cruise to play an Iron Man character, and I just didn't happen.
I'd have walked out.
So that was a non-starter. I read an article.
That was snuffed. You know how I feel about Tom Cruise, man. No, we don't need that at all.
Yeah. The other rumor was it was like a nod to T'Challa for Chadwick Boseman or something like that. Like it was those are the two rumors. I don't know if the official is.
Because in the comics, Black Panther, Namor, Doctor Strange,
Professor X,
and Iron Man were part of the Illuminati.
Yeah, Professor X, Captain America, and they wiped his mind, and then Beast came through after later. But so I think the rumor was. Oh, go ahead.
I read an article yesterday saying that the writer wanted Tom Cruise in it, and it was just he was in the middle of filming Mission Impossible 25 or whatever.
Yeah. Maverick's been done for like 2 years.
That almost happened. Just disturbing.
So it could have happened. He wanted the guy.
We didn't need Tom Cruise unless he was playing something that you couldn't recognize him, like in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
So now
that's the only way it would have worked, just like what you just said.
So let's go back to our brother Mordor, who, I like that whole sequence just because it was just funny, and I actually chuckled through the whole the banter and the fight. Like, I mean, again, it's not a scene that we needed, but it was fun, and it brought almost a moment of levity to the kind of darker story of it.
Hold on, what happened to him?
He was just stuck in the ground. He's just chilling.
He's just stuck.
Just stuck yelling.
He couldn't get out.
Jackson was
exactly.
I mean,
everyone else is dead, so he's about to be the only person in the Illuminati now. So
smart.
I don't know if Captain Marvel is dead. She's just too powerful to be crushed by a statue, so she's unconscious.
Dead.
True.
But, that was weird.
Mordo had closure because in the first Doctor Strange, we thought he was going to come back as like some supervillain and raise hell. Yeah. In this universe, he was just like, it gave closure. It was like, okay, I had beef with you in this world, but in this, I have a different beef with you, unrelated, and I still want to kill you, but for different reasons because you're a threat.
Yeah, and it's Mordo for the next movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because his Mordo is still out there. Like he's still
that's true
out there doing his thing, and he does hate Strange and wants to kill him for the same reason.
Yeah, and I hope they don't give him the same Tyler Perry cornrow / dreadlocks, and so I hope they just give him a nice cut so he could be natural. Just saying, just putting that out there into the universe. I like the touch of the Ultron too. I thought that was really cool.
That was cool.
That was cool.
Yeah.
But like I think Strange had nice touches throughout. I think it was like one of those things where and surprisingly, the addition of America Chavez as a character in it was not annoying. And that was one thing that I was thinking it was going to be, because usually when you have a teenage character in, there's always gonna be some type of annoyance, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. But I thought that she actually was fine for the narrative, kept pushing things along. Yeah. And you saw the development and characterization. And then with her introduction into MCU, that now almost completes all of the Young Avengers now at some point, because now you have Wanda's two kids, you have America Chavez, you have Kate Bishop, you have Eli, which is Black Captain America's grandson. And then all you really need basically to be the original story is young Kang to come in. So if they wanted to do Young Avengers, they have all the pieces already introduced in the background of MCU, which if they do that, to their credit as a comic book nerd, that was done pretty well. So I thought
they got the pieces set up in place already.
Might be a TV show.
They could actually do Young Kang and not even, and Jonathan Majors could have someone else.
Yep. 100%.
He's not that older, but he's gonna
wait, hold on, because didn't John Krasinski's character, Mr.
Reed
Fantastic, Richards. Didn't he mention his son, which is
Nathan?
Kane?
Yeah, he did. Nathaniel.
Okay. Yeah.
So then they could do because
he can't be on that show because he's kill everybody. He's too powerful.
He's way OP.
He would have killed Scarlet Witch if he showed up.
Basically.
True.
And then also with the introduction of Miss Marvel, and then Riri's going to have a show soon. So they have pieces that if they wanted to do a freaking kid like team up Young Avengers type joint, it actually could do it. It actually might be interesting. The other aspect I was going to say in general too was, now that we have, I think this past like year to 2 years of Marvel movies, it's been a very interesting thing because they're not like super dope, but they're not like whack. They're like in this weird realm where it's pushing the narrative along. It's pushing things along. Like Black Widow, we didn't need that Black Widow movie, but if you watched it, it was actually entertaining. It was actually fine. I wouldn't recommend it like, hey, you need to watch it, but then I actually enjoyed it. Like Florence Pugh.
It's a one and done. Like,
one and done.
If you're into Marvel, you're gonna fulfill the checklist off and watch it at least one time.
Right.
It's on the bottom tier of MCU movies.
Yeah.
I still wish that movie had come about 5 years sooner, because Scarlett Johansson was just not into that movie at all. Anthony Pugh and what's his name? David Harbour.
Oh, they were having the time of their lives.
They were.
Florence Pugh was having so much fun. Like, she
technically, they should have brought out Black Widow before they brought out all the superheroes. Mm-hmm. Just so we can have some backstory with her. If like how we do Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's not about the main characters, it's about the little stars, and we can follow her and Hawkeye, her sister.
It's the ground level.
Ground level. Yeah, like exactly. So that would be cool if they did it before the introduction of all the bigger players.
Yeah, and that's why I don't give them on a sort of outside level, I don't give them credit for the whole efforts of diversity, because that movie wouldn't have come about if Wonder Woman hadn't happened. So it was being talked about for years, and that's why it felt like a afterthought. And I think it was fun again. But you have to be committed to the Marvel narrative machine to really enjoy that film, because I sat there and I was like, this is good. But if I wasn't into Marvel, this would be.
Yeah, you wouldn't care about it.
Would I be watching?
Wait, you said Black Widow was good?
I said I thought
Captain Marvel.
No, I said Black Widow.
Yeah.
You have to be into Marvel to enjoy that film. Otherwise, it's just kind of like a blank slate kind of film.
Yeah. And now if you take say something like Shang-Chi, where like say you didn't watch any Marvel movies, but then you watch Shang-Chi cold,
you can absolutely just enjoy it on its own.
You can enjoy it on the face value.
Absolutely.
And I rewatched it recently because I was like, I just want to check it out for a second time. And actually, it was almost better on the second rewatch. And
I can't get it. I can't get into it.
Really?
It was okay to me. It was like it was off my checklist. It was like that. It's not the worst offender.
I thought you just said Eternals. I'm like, whoa.
No. See, Eternals is just one and done. I watched the bootleg version and I had to watch a regular version of it just so I can see it clearly.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, it could be a cool story, but this ain't it. Like, I'd rather read the comic than watch it.
High concept, and it just fell right off.
Yeah, I rewatched it recently.
Jokes were off.
Just on some, is it as bad as I remember? And kind of.
Yeah, it looked beautiful, but they just, that was one of those things where it's like, what do you really want to do? You want a Star Wars movie? All right, well, do this first.
Yeah.
Drink the baby's blood, then now we'll give you your Star Wars movie.
Right.
Yeah, because Eternals was just, and then you think about now DC should be regretting ending New Gods because it's like, if they had done if they would do New Gods, like, come on.
They would have easily topped it.
Yeah, because the New Gods are so much better as a story than the Eternals. So,
and the route that they were going with Ava DuVernay and what's his name, Tim King.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Tim King was doing
that would have been like with Tim King's hand in that thing, guiding somebody like Ava DuVernay.
And that's the thing. This is the thing. Ava needs a Tim King to make her better.
Thank you. You took the word right out of my mouth.
I'd have been like, nah. But because Tim King is dope, she needs a good writer to kind of get her to like. Ava by herself.
She needs somebody
depending on the topic.
Rein in.
Yeah, it depends on the topic, bro.
That's
I'm not
sure.
the biggest Ava DuVernay fan because of her track record of fantasy.
Chloe's out.
Okay, see, she probably. Has she directed an action film?
Nah, I think that was her first.
That was her second.
See, that explains it. Like that, because you could tell even the first big sequence where I think it's what's her name, Cersei and Jon Snow walking down the little river walk, and then all of a sudden.
I fell asleep during that scene.
What are the creatures called? You guys are the Marvel.
That's how bad it is. The
deviants, and all of a sudden the deviants attack. It's like there was no build up to that at all. I was honestly just like. It's happening right now. They just went through the whole history. They walking along the street, and here comes a deviant. Like, what's going on?
Yeah,
that story was told too fast. It's better as a comic. You really.
If it was the '90s, it would have been an amazing film. But after what Marvel have done, it's just like it's not up to the standards.
And honestly, too, the story of the Eternals, we all like. If you guys don't know, whatever for the audience, but like Kirby was basically doing New Gods at DC at the time. He was doing this whole fantastical thing, idea, high concept, super dope. And then the book gets canceled after 12 issues, I want to say, or something around that thing. And he was pissed because he got to write it, he got to draw it. And this is right after he left Marvel. Him and Stan Lee had a big fallout, whatever. And so then he wanted to finish his story, so then he went back to Marvel and created the Eternals, which is basically his New Gods concept for Marvel. And then that was it. And so then over the years, literally 20, 30, 40 years, Eternals have just been kind of just like these things that's around, but like not a really solid good story until Neil Gaiman came over, told a really dope story. And he made a very definitive where like, I don't care about the Eternals at all. Neil Gaiman's story. Okay, now I care. Right. And so, and then that's why I was surprised that they were going to do an Eternal story, because I'm like, there's not really much there. Like they took Guardians of the Galaxy, a bunch of characters that no one fucking cares about, and made people care about them.
Yeah.
They took Eternals and they did a bunch of characters that no one even knows about, and everyone was like, huh?
Because if they had done it in space and made it a cosmic adventure, then it would have worked a lot better. But they brought them to Earth, and now they have to create this convoluted story about
why
do you guys step in with Thanos?
all this time why they didn't interfere with Thanos. Like the whole plot was created from a very convoluted concept.
Yeah.
Like,
wait, hold on. That one black dude that could build bad shit didn't help the slaves? All right.
I'm telling you, movies always come down to the villain. If you have a terrible villain, the movie's not going to be good.
Right.
We didn't even remember the name, the Deviants, whatever they were. Like
Deviants. That's all.
If you have a bootleg villain, the movie's going to suck.
Yeah.
And truth be told, the Deviants weren't the real villains. It was the Eternals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
End of the day.
Yep.
I think that still works as a good graphic novel. You sit there and read, and you get into it. And you're like, oh man, the story is layered, it's deep. Yeah. But as a 2-hour, 2.5-hour movie where you tell the whole story of these powerful beings that were just dormant on Earth, while all this crazy stuff was happening, y'all didn't do anything until this happened. That missed me with that.
But see, that also doesn't even explain it, because why wouldn't the Celestials interfere with Thanos if they knew he could potentially destroy their infant? Like why would they allow Earth to any harm to come to Earth if they know that there's a Celestial that needs to be born?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would say the one thing about Eternals that helped was like the way they portrayed the Celestials was dope.
I love that.
And that was something that was like, it gave you a grand, epic, cosmic scale.
Yes.
Where you're like, the scale of it is like, oh shit. Like
that's something that I
will give them credit.
Comprehend.
Like 100%. And I would say
the Celestial was amazing.
Yeah. I would say design wise, that was the thing that I like. Like I like the film was beautiful and it had a scale of it that was good. But you're right with that level of, convoluted story and everything else. Now, bringing it back to Doctor Strange, with the introduction of the multiverse and all this other randomness, I was actually, as Josh was saying, I actually was entertained at the end of the day, where I was kind of like, I was actually enjoying it. Like as it was going through and like all the different pieces that kind of came in, the banter of it, the different types of aspects of it, even the parts of just, showing like the Illuminati, quote unquote, and even the resolution of it too. Like I like, Wong was awesome in it. And like I said, America Chavez was cool. But I enjoyed it. But at the same time, I think it had that same almost one and done kind of feel. Like I'll watch it a second time because I try to watch at least all of them at least twice, but I didn't feel like, oh man, this is something I would like rewatch over and over again or something to that effect. I think, and that's been kind of the theme for a lot of Marvel movies in the last maybe like 2 to 3 years, where it's like, it's cool, but it's not like, I can't really like, oh man, you totally have to see this. And I know other people, we have our super fanboys that were like, oh, this is better than Spider-Man. I'm like, slow down, dude.
It was fun. I give you guys all of that. I would watch Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness again simply because I enjoy the supernatural. My favorite things in comic in both DC, Marvel is either the supernatural stuff or the cosmic stuff. So like anytime that is on display, and if it's done well, and this was done well, it wasn't like, again, I expected more. And that's a rare time where I kind of put my expectations for what this would be a little higher than I normally do. Sam Raimi, it's the sequel to Doctor Strange. It's got all this like almost 5 years of almost nearing 10 years of build up. So I was expecting it to be scaled up a little bit more. But other than that, it works. It's a fine Marvel entry. Like you can't say it's a bad movie.
No, it was a bit campy. I have an argument about whose story was it? Was it Doctor Strange or Wanda's story? I'm starting to lean it was Wanda's story, and Strange was featuring in his own movie. But that's just my personal thing, how the direction of the movie was going. I gave it a 7. It's very watchable. It's enjoyable. I spent money. I think it's worth, if you're a Marvel fan, even if you're not a Marvel fan, but kind of curious, it's worth going to see in the theaters.
You won't feel like you wasted your money.
Yeah, no, I came out, I was like, it wasn't bad. It was cool. It's not the best, but it was like very likable. And it was kind of a pleasant surprise to see Sam Raimi behind it, because I was not expecting that either. I didn't know I went in cold. I didn't know who was behind what. I just knew it was Doctor Strange. I want to see the continuation of his story. I'm also like you. I like the cosmic, supernatural in comics because I love Constantine in the DC universe. And so I was like, okay, this kind of has that Constantine feel. And I enjoyed it, and I like Doctor Strange. Like you guys are talking about how you guys got into Doctor Strange. I got into Doctor Strange from a video game. And I was like, oh, this dude looks sick. And I wanted to see more about him. And then I found out more about him by reading about him. I never really peeped him in the comics, but I heard about him more about the video game.
I think I found Doctor Strange the same way. Was it the
X-Men game?
Marvel versus Capcom game?
Yep.
That's exactly how I found out about Doctor Strange. And then I went back and looked and found out he was a Marvel character. Because back then, a lot of Marvel characters were scattered and they were being used and you didn't even know that they were associated with Marvel. Like that Punisher with Dolph Lundgren from the early 90s.
My favorite Punisher movie, even though it's bad, I love it. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I will rewatch that every time it comes on.
Which one?
Nah, you got to watch Punisher.
Warzone?
Dolph Lundgren. No, Dolph Lundgren.
The original.
Oh, the original.
Yeah, but truth be told, the best Punisher is the one with what's the guy that played the one of the
Tom James? Thomas
No.
The
other guy. No, Warzone. That's probably the best. Best Punisher movie is Warzone.
Yes. You need that in your life if you've not seen it. It is
They kill more people in the first 7 minutes than all the Punisher movies combined.
When I was glorious. 5 minutes, I was like, "Oh, this is the Punisher I've been waiting." This is the Punisher.
And
but
my favorite is the Netflix version.
Cool. John Bernthal just kills it.
Yeah, he killed it. And then it was funny because I was reading kind of with Charlie Cox and Daredevil.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like the same kind of thing where they're kind of like, yo, Marvel recognizes that they are fan favorites. So it's like they're not stupid about that aspect of it. So it's like that door is open. If they were to do something with like when this Daredevil series comes in, which I think what's gonna happen is probably that Echo series that they're going to do will probably be a backdoor for Punisher and Daredevil, and just kind of re-enter that Marvel Knights situation.
Yeah, it seems like they're not planning on using them for solo series. Like that would just feel like a recreation of what happened instead of just having them exist as characters in the world which
is perfect.
You might see them show up in a Blade or such and such. And I thought that was good because that's how Kingpin kind of show. Oh, we don't need to explain the connection between this and the Netflix world. He's been in New York. He's in Hell's Kitchen. He's still the Kingpin. That's all we. And it's Vincent D'Onofrio. That's all we 100%.
want. Who meta could be Thor in a multiverse because he was Thor in the movie Adventures of Babysitting.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Could be a meta multiverse.
That's a deep cut. That's a. I was born between 78 and 81 cut.
Adventures of Babysitting. Wow.
So I would say to wrap it up, to get I'll go around the room just to kind of see everyone's score for it, and then also I would ask, where does Marvel go from here? And also, what do you actually like? Again, I know people are starting to get that superhero fatigue as it's starting to set in. And I laugh because every time that happens, we'll watch something and we're like, damn, all right, they kind of keep doing it though. So
because it's not Marvel. You can't just blame Marvel. They're the leading force, but DC is making a shit ton of superhero content.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fucking mediocre shit. So I would say overall, what do you guys give Doctor Strange as a score? We'll start with Duane first.
Damn it. I would give it. I'm in between a 7 and a 7.5. I got it on again while we were doing this, but I'll give it a 7.5. I enjoyed the film throughout. I wasn't bored while I was watching it. It was entertaining. Is it a film I'm going to watch multiple times? Yes, I have it on again on bootleg, but
aye, Captain. Aye, Captain.
But overall, I think it pushed the story forward. We've seen a different element of Strange. We're getting more into the cosmos. So I think Marvel, what they're doing is just kind of showing us another chapter. Is it one of their best? No, but it's not a terrible film.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
D, what do you think?
I have to agree with Duane on his rating, and I think for me it falls between a 7 and a 7.5. If I watch it again, it could rise to an 8 depending on how I feel overall, but I think it's going to end up staying in that area. As far as where Marvel goes from here, I'm interested to see. I'm not fatigued out just yet because I think they have a lot of interesting things coming down the pike that we will enjoy, that we want to see, and it would be foolish to pretend otherwise, right? From Doctor Strange, personally, I would like to see a story that focuses more on him because I think the first film, and this is what was weird for me, really quick, just is that they wanted us to care about their relationship between him and Christine, and that wasn't working for me. I did not care about that because I don't think that was properly developed. Doctor Strange was introduced as a very self-absorbing, self-centered character. And even in the first one, he only gave vague inclinations that he wanted to be with Christine long term. Of course, he was attracted to her. Of course, they have that history. But we didn't ever see that as much as we kind of got the bare bones. They're in a relationship. I mean, they have a history with each other. They're colleagues, all this stuff. Boom, accidents happen. Boom, he's at Comertide. Boom, it's like all it was happening. Now where he's at her wedding and he's mixed. It was kind of like it was an emotional layer that probably wasn't needed. And I don't know if it worked as well as they hoped for. So I want to see if they do a third film, focus on Doctor Strange as a character and who he is. I think that would make the story a lot different. Give him a villain that challenges him on that level. That's why I said, hopefully what happened in this film leads to a Mephisto type of villain or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Cam, what you thinking?
I'm gonna give it a 7. I don't think I'm gonna rise any higher than that. It has some replayability, but I'm only gonna watch it for little nuggets and Easter eggs and whatnot. I think you guys are kind of hitting on the nail about these movies don't really give more context to Strange himself. I think episode 4 of What If gave the best version of Doctor Strange and his struggle and his relationship of really wanting to capture what he had with his girlfriend at the time. Where do I want to see this? I don't mind a little mini series of like nuggets, the mini shows, because sometimes I don't need a whole another 10 years to flesh out a story. I know they're going to do that probably with Secret Wars or something like that. But I don't want to say I'm fatigued, but like I am curious if they go in other directions with I still want to see the minor characters, still learn about less popular hole-in-the-wall characters like the Guardians of the Galaxy and whatnot. I think that's cool. I don't need to see another Hulk, Avengers, Thor. Maybe Thor. Thor has some interesting things going on with him that I'm probably interested in because he's trying to find himself and whatnot. So I'm more into those type of things and the short stories. I still like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as far as the concept. Again, minor characters that we don't know about. I want Marvel to go in that direction. Maybe it opens it up for some animation. Until then, this is why DC still has I can still post bail for DC animation because their DC animation will take it there. They will go dark. They will hit on story. So with that said,
I just saw Batman ate a burrito. They make it Batman fucking DC. Get on my nerves. So I love DC, but stop with the Batman film.
Yeah. So with that said, there were elements of Doctor Strange that I didn't think needed to be like the Illuminati was cool, but they didn't really add nothing to the story. It was just fan service. Yeah. Cool. But they do need to flesh out Doctor Strange, give him some depth a little bit more. We don't really get that. Like Iron Man was a drunk. We got elements of that. Doctor Strange is going through some things. He has an ego. He's narcissistic. But they really lightly touch on that. With that said, these are minor infractions because I never expected much from Doctor Strange. Again, I got familiar with Doctor Strange from a video game and I started to do a little bit of homework. I think it's pretty cool. They're going in this direction, the cosmic type stuff. Let's play on that. I give it a strong 7. There's room for maybe a 7.3, but I'm not going to rank it that high. There's not much to go on from these two movies to say, oh, this is going to be better if I watch it a second time.
Yeah. And then Josh, what you thinking?
I'm going to go a little higher than the rest of the room. I'm going to give it an 8.
I was going to say 9.
I had fun. I gave it an 8 because I had that much fun watching the movie. That's really what I thought.
I ain't mad at it.
And I'm not even talking about like Xavier popping up. Like, I was geeked for that, but I can separate that chunk of it from the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
I think just the deep cuts that it made in Marvel lore really kind of drew me in. As a Marvel nerd, that really spoke to me in a different type of way. I think flipping Wanda to like a full-on villain worked for me. I liked Sam Raimi's, again, Sam Raimi light beer. It wasn't like a full-on Phantasmagoria type movie that he's known for. Mm-hmm. But his spin on it was great. I liked it. I liked it a lot. It wasn't a 10, but it was solid.
It was solid. Yeah, I think just really just adding to what Josh was saying, that it's not offensive and it is fun. I think those things that it did well worked well, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And that's why it is like,
yeah, and I would say, like, overall, like, that's the thing I would say in general. Like, I kind of agree. We're all on the same board, where it's like, it's in that 7 to 7.5 realm. We're like, oh, you know, I might watch it again, might give it an 8, but like, it did what it was supposed to do. It expanded the universe. It pushed the narrative along. It gave you some new, little nuggets here and there, and it was like an enjoyable experience. So it's like, you don't, like you said, you don't feel like you wasted your money. You enjoyed yourself, and then you got to see some fun stuff, good fan service, and I think that's one of the good things that I thought that was like in general. So I think Marvel's in that good space where it's like, I'm curious to see what they do with their other things, not movie related, like whether they start going more with What If in the second season of the animations, what they do with their TV shows. Like, I'm really curious to see how they kind of push that, because I think that's where they're going to have more fun to kind of push things along. We didn't really talk about Moon Knight in this situation, but I haven't watched it yet. I've heard mixed reviews, but I'm really curious to see how they keep going with their TV offerings and what they do with it. Yeah. And so again, with, I always refer to that group of characters as Marvel Knights, and Marvel Knights is pretty much Punisher, Daredevil, Moon Knight, Blade. Doctor Strange is in it for a hot second, but those are those characters that was like a little bit more adult, a little bit more interesting. So I think there's a lane for Marvel to kind of keep pushing in this realm. We're like, hey, we could do a subset of offerings that are more quote unquote adult and have more and more fun. Shout out to Baby Sage out there.
Watching the trailers, I thought Scarlet Witch, I thought it was the zombie one from What If. Because you like saw the blood, I was totally confused. But when you saw the film, I'm like, okay, it wasn't.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job, red herring wise, with the trailers too. Like, they really did a good job of. I didn't know who the villain was going to be, so I was curious.
Yeah, they gave me a red herring with that zombie Strange. I was like, oh, that's the evil Doctor Strange.
Me too. I was thinking the same thing. Like, the one from What If. Like, he's going crazy.
I wasn't exactly. That definitely kind of was like, the prophecy of the Scarlet Witch. That didn't do anything for me. Like, you could have taken that completely out of the movie and it would have still worked.
When she, yeah.
And so the last thing I would say too is the cut scene was with Charlize Theron with Clea, who's basically Doctor Strange's girlfriend, and so
Dormammu's niece.
Yeah, and so that could actually.
I thought it was Psylocke for a moment. I'm like, what? When did she get these powers? Because I saw the purple. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Right.
So that could be interesting. Like, that could be fun. Like, it could be like some cool stuff. Like, if they do it a solid proper thing, it could be actually pretty fun. So,
this role for her is a middle finger to DC, because apparently they were trying to cast her as Wonder Woman's mother. She was like, Wonder Woman's mother.
Oh, that's right. Wonder Woman.
What's wrong with you?
That's actually hilarious.
Damn.
Like, I realize I'm 50, but son.
You not see my Atomic Blonde audition?
I actually enjoyed that film.
It's the best of the skinny white women throwing people around films. Like,
wow. Which movie you enjoyed?
Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde.
There's literally like 7 versions of like
7 Germany. Yeah, it's true. Berlin.
And that's the best. That's probably the best one. Like, there's the Jennifer Garner one, and then there's the freaking
what's her name?
She was Batwoman.
What's the one from
I was talking about.
She was in X-Men as well.
Ruby Rose.
Yeah.
What's the other one from X-Men? Red Sparrow. Is it Sparrow?
Red Sparrow.
Oh, Scarlett Johansson had one too. Yep.
Ruby Rose was in X-Men?
No. She had her own.
I'm thinking about
Let's talk about
Jennifer Lawrence. Is who I'm thinking about.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah. It was a skinny white woman is throwing around big dudes movies that were just going violent, whatnot.
Peppermint wasn't too bad.
Peppermint was actually not that bad.
That was surprisingly, I was surprised.
Alias Roots.
Jennifer.
Yeah, that was.
Okay.
Yeah. Atomic Blonde was probably the best one. Peppermint was probably the next one after that.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
I'm like, you said blondes. I sound like Haywire with what's her name?
Oh yeah.
That was a solid.
She's a legit badass. She's a legit.
Gina
Carano.
Gina Carano.
Yeah.
Carano. But this is way
Maga.
Damn.
Lady Maga.
Wrong, yo.
This is way pre-Maga.
It looked funnier the second time though. Like he ate a spicy pepper, yo. Oh my god, I gotta rewind that.
Yeah. So, but I would say, I'm curious to see what they do with that. And then I think with the introduction of Charlize Theron's character Clea, that can easily open and back up Dormammu. That can open up Mephisto. Like there's a lot of things that could with her introduction.
Yeah, you need a huge villain for that one.
100%. Yeah, and I think that we might get what Dee's wish is to get that Mephisto in there because I think
which character are you talking about
for Doctor Strange?
Oh, for the third.
Yeah.
What's the next Marvel film? Is it Thor?
It's Thor.
Yeah,
July, right?
Thor.
Yeah,
July.
And then Black Panther.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
Black Panther closes out the year.
Yeah, because I have a couple of folks that are on the crew for that, so I'm curious to see what they. I honestly, I have no idea and no expectations. That'll be 2023 spring, I think.
Shit.
Something like that.
Flying.
Yeah, they just wrapped principal filming and they're going to do all the effects and stuff. So probably next year. So yeah. Black Panther. I don't know what the hell is going to happen with that. No clue whatsoever. We'll see.
It's been really hush hush.
Yeah, I'm
which is good.
Yeah, honestly, that's cool. if Namor or freaking Doctor Doom shows up as the bad guys, I'm all in.
Thumbs up.
Other than that, I'm like, I don't know what you guys are gonna do about it. Like
that's what they really need to do is step up the villain game.
Yeah, 100%.
They have so many great villains in Marvel, and we don't see them now. I mean, and now they have them back for Disney owns a lot of them now. So that's why I said I was like, man, with all the supernatural stuff going on, we not gonna see Mephisto. Like, when are we gonna see him?
Yep, exactly. We should be seeing some really hardcore villains. Like, we need to see all these heroes get their ass knocked on for a while.
Yeah.
I know Warlock is going to be in a new Guardian.
Agatha Harkness. I don't care about Agatha. I don't want to see the Scarlet Witch by Agatha Harkness. Come on.
Yo, she had the best meme of 2020.
She did. She killed it. And all due respect, Han did a good job.
He did. 100%.
She made that character way more, as we always say, way more interesting than it probably should have been. So,
not to the point where she gets her own series because she's got.
No, that's ridiculous.
Well,
she is.
That's ridiculous. I still think that's a long-going joke, but we'll see.
Yeah. It's silly. But you're right, though. I think the Marvel's main thing is like their villains. They just have to like double down. Like you're right. They have such a rogues gallery of villains that could like check all those boxes, and I think it could be super, super interesting if they actually go there. So
that's why I'm excited for Kang.
I would love for them to do something with Baron Zemo because Zemo should be.
Zemo, he was a highlight of a lot of the stuff. Every time he shows up, he's a highlight. Like
don't undercut him with all that humor though. Like I get that.
You don't need to do Thunderbolts. You could do. What I would like to see is a proper Masters of Evil. That's what that would be my wish list of Avengers villains. Masters of Evil. I need that in my life.
Yeah, that's really true. I can definitely see
with Zemo at the helm.
Yeah, and that would be actually kind of fun. So
if you do like a takedown of the Avengers, like they did back in the day, like in the 80s when Buscemi was still but not Buscemi, John Byrne was still drawing the book, man.
Yeah. And so I think that's
people will not be ready for that level of carnage.
And you need like we go back to again. They just need to up their villain game. You know, that's literally the weakest thing. Like, you know,
I mean, they have them, but Fox had some of them. So
yeah, exactly.
They destroyed
so now they got it back.
And now they're back from outer space.
You know, like
fellas, I gotta tap out real quick, put the kid to bed. But
I think we're wrapping up anyway.
Yeah. Peace out.
We are. So yeah, thanks for listening to us rant about Marvel films and whatnot. It was really, really fun. And this is the Table of Truth, and we are out.
Lasagna.